All right, here we are again. What's going on, Tommy? I'm back here again. Back to back episodes in the studio. It's a beautiful thing. So I love the drive out here. So I
Yeah.
drove out here again. Here we are again. I lost or I forgot or something happened. So I am stickless today.
Oh gosh.
So you're gonna have to do the cigar intro, which I probably know what you're smoking again because I brought you a whole case of them, but
I got to get through them. Yeah. So once again, we're on the Rocky Patel Grand Reserves. I should,
just chewing up.
I should get a hold of somebody at RP and just say, hey, you want to sponsor
Mr.
our little
Patel
podcast?
himself, even maybe. Yeah,
Maybe Cigar Experience can sponsor us.
there you go. Cigar Experience Niagara. I got to put at on there.
Yeah.
We like our sticks here, but
Yeah.
obviously I don't like them enough to um remember to bring one. But anyways,
What's today's topic?
well, last episode we talked about paint correction, what it is versus an enhancement and stuff like that. So I think a really cool segue into it is talking about protecting it after the fact. Now, I know in the beginning we did a truth about ceramic coatings, just a bird's eye kind of what goes on behind the scenes in this industry and how absolutely incredibly difficult it can be for a business detailer to navigate it. So I don't think we need to digress too much about ceramic coatings again. We'll just kind of take a step back and talk about the longevity play of correcting paint after the fact. But I think a big thing is to talk about after you've removed all the defect, you removed oxidization if applicable, whether you enhanced it, whether you corrected it. Um, the biggest things you can do now to keep that wow factor lasting a longer time. So I think that's important to digress about and really give people kind of a good sense of what we're talking about when we talk about paint protection. So what is paint protection? What is it?
Well, it's you're basically, I mean, you're protecting all that hard work, so to speak, right? So you do your paint correction, get rid of all the as many defects as you can, and then you want to apply some type of protection to it, whether it's as simple as wax or polymer or ceramic coating, or the big cheese, which is paint protection film.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Because when like a good analogy we can use is, you had this beautiful table, let's say, and now we've sanded it down and we've taken out all the scratches over the years. You have this beautiful, y- wood that's there. Well, now that we've removed a little bit of that protective finish, it's going to look absolutely beautiful, but it's going to get damaged a little faster than it did before without something back on top of it, without some sort of sealant. So that's kinda the same thing with automotive paint.
Yeah.
Obviously, one's a table, one's a car, but it's an analogy. So, what can we do after you've corrected paint? Because now that you've taken a little bit off, it's actually more susceptible to defect damage. Not a lot, I don't wanna scare people away, but
In a sense, you've kind of opened up the pores of the paint or whatever, right? So you want to now in return, you want to kind of fill those pores in and seal it up and
yeah.
protect it, right?
Yeah, because like you said, you've now, opened the reactor to the universe. So now we're dealing with, virgin, fresh, beautiful paint. So one of the first things right off the hop, UV damage, you know,
Yeah.
as not that I find it is a big problem longevity wise with cars as it is, especially modernly painted cars. But now that you've opened it up, that's going to be a bit of a problem. So it's gonna break down that clear coat over time. Just the sun alone. So
Yeah. When it comes to protection, I think if you've had somebody correct your car, if you do it yourself, whatever it may be, you got to put something back onto it. So now we're not talking about those, you're not reapplying any type of clear coat to it. And there's products out there that are the wipe on clear coats. You know, think of it whatever you want, but what we're talking about is protecting kind of what's remaining on the vehicle. At the very least, it should be some type of wax. Now, that wax is going to add a little bit of UV protection. It's not a crazy amount, but it's going to add that luster. It's going to add that protection. It's going to keep elements or like things like water and things like that, beading on your vehicle, which means it gets away from the surface faster. The surface tension is so high that the water just beads off, much like a ceramic coating, which is it lasts a lot longer.
Yeah.
So first step would be obviously, or at the very minimum, is some type of wax or a polished
Yeah.
stone.
And even now, even when applying the wax, there is a risk when applying that wax. You have, these guys that have the tin of wax with that applicator pad
Oh, yeah.
that's basically fossilized, and they're rubbing it on there. So you can induce marring and stuff like that, excuse me, onto the paintwork just from waxing, especially, paintwork that's just been freshly polished, freshly, the defects taken out of it. So there is something of that. So wax is still better than nothing,
Yeah.
but the simple process of applying the wax to the vehicle
That
can
can,
kind of
you can
yield you
suck.
negative results, which I think is important, and to help that UV stay away, because the UV is going to cause fading, over time. It's going to cause oxidization issues, that kind of thing. And obviously, this happens faster with cars that are outside all the time. So we're not
Especially
talking.
in the southern state. Like, for instance, like you compare us to Vegas. I mean, generally the UV rating down in Vegas is going to be a little bit higher than here. But again, it's still, regardless, it's just going to be a little bit faster. Like the UV is going to hit that paint a little bit faster than it is here in Niagara,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and that's gonna really, and when you have freshly corrected paint, everything's exposed, the pores are open, so it's gonna hit it a little bit harder than it did, from the beginning. And the other thing too that you have to watch out for, that you overlook, you have everyday contaminants now on the paint. So you're gonna have, bird droppings, you're gonna have tree sap, bug guts, hard water etching. These things are gonna become a little more prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not so much that you have to really worry about it to the same degree, but if you got a black car outside and it's, 32 degrees, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit for our American listeners, is, an 80, 90-degree day, and you're washing this black car in the sun,
Yeah.
even though, that's what everyone does, that's going to become something that you have to be mindful of. So all these things, brake caliper, you know, fallout from your brakes. These things are going to be more prevalent now in this paint that has been opened up and exposed to, the environment now. So now we have to talk about protecting, that wow factor, I called it. So you got your car now, or your truck or whatever, back. It looks absolutely amazing. So now we need to talk about, what are we putting on there to keep that wow factor for longer.
Yeah. So I think the top tier thing would be paint protection film, but paint protection film serves more of a purpose for obviously paint chips. It obviously has your UV protection built into it. You can get ones with the coating already built into it. Um, but if you're not in that realm of getting paint protection film, then I would say ceramic coating. Now, ceramic coating. So let's take water spots for example. Ceramic coating, will it stop water spots completely? Absolutely not. Okay, that's the realization of it. It will help protect against water spawning better than obviously having nothing there, right? It's that those the minerals within the water, it takes a lot longer for them to etch into the clear, or I'm sorry, into the ceramic coating versus your bare clear coat. So you do have a little bit more time to remove these things. But I think the ceramic coating is going to be kind of your happy middle.
Yeah, that's gonna be your cost of sorry, there's like a tickle in my throat today. I'm trying to I think ceramic coating is, yeah, that's gonna be your most cost effective way to keep, that deep glossy finish that the correction or enhancement just yielded you, without any form of protection. You're looking at 1 to 3 months of, I'm talking like daily driver. I mean, I don't know, you can comment on this. I'm talking everyday daily driver.
Yeah.
You're looking at 1 to 3 months before you start putting damage back onto the car. Obviously, not to the extent, it takes years for that to happen, but you're gonna, you just spent good money on a correction, and now, 1 month to 3 months later is when you're gonna start inducing it. So when we talk about protection, what does good protection look like? Good protection, basically, to break it down, is putting a sacrificial layer on top of this freshly corrected paint that now is going to sacrifice itself instead of the clear coat being sacrificed. So now you have that layer to play with. You have that layer to, you know, remediate if need be. You have that layer to protect rather than it cutting into your paint because you only have a finite amount of paint on a car.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, and when we talk about, applying ceramic coating, no, it's not such a thick, I mean, you can measure ceramic coat. I mean, if you have a really good paint gauge, you can actually measure how much ceramic coat is on there. And it's not how what people think where it's like a thick, goopy thing. It's a very thin layer of literally liquid glass that you would apply. And I'm talking very, very thin. But it adds that protection, that barrier between your clear coat and your elements, right? So, um, if you polish it, will you polish it off? Yeah, you're probably gonna get to that point, and you'll see kind of exactly where you've polished off the actual coating because you'll see the hue change a little bit.
Yeah.
But the point is that it's sacrificial. So if you do get any type of damage, either on the coating side or maybe subcoating, if you've left it on there for too long, then you can polish it out and reapply your coating.
Mhm.
Um, it's not a forever thing because you can't polish a car every single year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just not going to have enough.
And I think we touched on that in the previous
Yeah.
episodes, getting a cheap, we'll keep jumping back to this, but putting a cheap ceramic coating on a car, you're looking for the thickness of that sacrificial layer to protect your paint. So when you go to, a cost-effective option that is almost too good to be true, the product just isn't going to be there to give you that sacrificial layer. So the importance of it is huge. And that's why PPF, paint protection film, reigns supreme when it comes to protection because it is a physical, in essence, film of plastic that you're putting over top. So, to do it to the whole car is a little crazy.
I
People
was
do.
just gonna ask you, what's your thought on guys that are wrapping their entire F-150 in paint protection film?
I mean, they got that oil rig money. They can spend the money on it for sure. But a big common misconception, unless you're going to a high end place and you're gonna be paying some big coin, you're gonna have things within the film. At the end of the day, you are putting plastic over paint. So, a good installer is gonna mitigate, stretching and glue marks and contaminants and everything like that. You're gonna end up paying for a absolute flawless job. I think a lot of people think that with paint protection film is that you're gonna have a flawless finish, and that is the goal. But I was told, years ago by a paint film guy, he said, it's paint protection film, not paint perfection film.
Mhm.
And it really stuck with me because a lot of people don't realize how hard that is to put the film on the car and not have, any contaminant in it. So it's a give and a take. You're not going to have the scratching on the paint. You're not going to have the defect embedding itself into the paint. But there is a slight risk that you are going to have, manufacturer of that film problems. Maybe the glue in one tiny area is just going to stick at the wrong, you're putting film over paint, right? So it's never gonna be
And that
100%
film is really never perfect.
never.
And it's, sometimes like people may think like, oh, there's way more orange peel on my vehicle now than there was before. Well, some films, I mean, the cheaper films are going to have a ton of orange peel. They're not going to be as smooth
Yeah,
as glass, for instance, right? You go to the higher end films, and they're going to be a lot smoother. They're going to form to the peel that's on the vehicle. So it's not
yeah.
that's in essence that's how you make it kind of invisible, right? You don't see that disconnect between here's a unwrapped panel, here's a wrap panel. You can see a huge difference.
Yeah,
It's not the point of it.
and a good reference point too is guys that have, their vehicles vinyl wrapped. Vinyl wrap's terrible for it. That's why paint, color change PPF is such a big thing coming up in the market now because it doesn't have that textured look to it.
It looks like paint.
It looks like paint. It looks incredible, very expensive to do, very time consuming to do as an installer too. But vinyl, you really see that texture and you lose the depth into it. So there's pros and cons to both. And obviously with vinyl wrap too, there's a certain amount of years before you're going to have that glue start to be absorbed into the paintwork, especially if it was corrected. So it's really important to choose what works best, and that's why you see ceramic coating being such a dominant form of protection, both cost effectively and the way it looks on a vehicle. But the problem is in this industry, like we mentioned in the Truth About Ceramic Coatings video, is the quality of product that you're putting onto the car. So that's where the importance of that comes in. And that's why we digressed for, I think that episode was like an hour,
Yeah.
just talking about what goes on behind the scenes. So, ceramic coating is going to be that cost effectiveness. It's going to increase the hydrophobicity on the surface of that paint. And I think it's important that we talk about hydrophobicity. What is it? And why do you want paintwork to be hydrophobic when washing a car?
So hydrophobicity is essentially it's a high surface tension, meaning the molecules on the actual ceramic coating are so close together that they're it literally is very difficult for anything to stick to, including water, and that's why you get that beading effect. Now, you can argue that, I mean, there's a lot of coating companies out there that argue that coatings are self-cleaning in the sense that if anything, any type of dirt or whatever lands on the vehicle and let's say you drive through a rainstorm, it washes it off. And I mean, that is true to a sense, especially if the coating is brand new. But after 2, 3, 4 years, I mean, if you haven't maintained it or haven't had your detailer maintain it, it's definitely not going to perform the way it did the day you installed it. Again, that's why we have maintenance programs
Yeah.
and so on.
You still have to care for that sacrificial layer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you want it to last, absolutely. You want your money's worth. Like it's not that it's cheap, and it shouldn't be a very cheap thing to do unless you're doing it yourself. You can buy whatever you want, but that's the truth behind the longevity of coatings.
Yeah. And I think too the importance of hydrophobicity for those who care to nerd out about it, which I know you're a huge fan of. So I think we should, tickle your fancy with a little bit. But the whole point of a water bead is when it hits the surface of that paint, the dirt is going to be picked up into that bead. And the idea is that the dirt is lifted off the paint and carried away with water where there's no rubbing of that dirt molecule on the paint. It's going to cascade it off the paint rather than you physically touching, pressing, and causing, that microscopic dirt to roll onto your paintwork, evidently giving you a defect. So, hydrophobicity, although it's important, and this is why we touched on the ceramic coating aspect of, episode where we talked about hydrophobics necessarily aren't a key giveaway that your coding is there or it's not there or it's not working or it is working. What that's telling you is that that sacrificial layer, like you said, is clogged. So you need to maintain that sacrificial layer to keep the hydrophobicity strong so that it can take the dirt and lift it away without you having to break the surface of the paint, which could give you a chance to inflict the defect onto it. But if you do, then you get into the solids aspect, the thickness aspect of the coating, which once again is going to, take that brunt of that, whether it's like a silicone based kind of thing where it bounces and comes back, self-healing coatings, things like that. There are things in the market that can bounce back with sunlight and heat that kind of re-level that coating
It's
off,
like PPF, right?
just like PPF. Yeah. Yeah.
Now there's coatings out there that they claim that they're not. I mean, they're not hydrophobic. What they are, instead of beading water, they sheet water. So now I think when people see that, they're like, well, I kind of like the beading action. The thing with the beading is you get a higher potential of water spotting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, you got a coated car, so the water spotting, you got some time before you can kind of mitigate that. But when it sheets, you eliminate the potential for any water spotting because the water is physically sheeting down.
Mhm.
It's not leaving little droplets anywhere,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's like I mean that's another argument. The coatings we use, I know the coatings we generally it's all high hydrophobics.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with contact angle for guys that are looking at, DIY kits and stuff like that. I'll always say, 105-degree contact angle or whatever it is. Ultimately, I don't know which one's better. I know I tell my clients a lot, especially after they have a ceramic coated car, and this may freak some people out, but these are everyday people that are trying to wash a car. Um, the reason why I like the beating aspect is I tell them, I say, go outside, go out, get yourself an electric leaf blower or something like that,
Mhm.
compressor, and blow those beads off because that dirt trapped in those beads, you need to get it off the surface of your paint, right? Minimizing the ability for the water to etch to it. But absolutely, if you're going through a touchless and you go through those blowers, it's counting down, and you're like, oh my God, I've only done the first quarter of my truck. I only got 15 seconds left. So you blast through the back end. Or
Yeah.
if you have a pickup truck, that whole rear tailgate is soaking wet no matter how long you stay in the damn blower for. So that's gonna happen, right? You're gonna have where the sun may etch that water. And obviously, if you're, I know we talked about touchlesses and stuff like that. You're not a big fan of them, but if you're in a bind,
Oh, yeah.
it's
Totally.
something you're gonna have to do. But another thing too is if that blower is not taking that soap, that caustic soap off your truck, and it's sitting on your paintwork because you've gone through the blower too fast, that raises a whole nother thing that is, 100% going to give you a more higher. That's good English. It's going to give you a higher.
Textbook.
Yeah, it's textbook. It's going to give you a higher chance for that etching to really bite into that coating. But one of the benefits, once again, is it's embedding into the sacrificial layer of the coating, not your clear coat. So it's easier to be corrected out. It's easier to fix that. And then that's when you get into the warranty aspect of your specific detailer. But yeah, the whole point is having that sacrificial layer on there, having the beading to trap that dirt and take that dirt away. And you need to blow it off your car to get it off as fast as you can. So
Yeah. Um, when you have protection or good protection on your vehicle too, it immensely changes um, your washing methods. Like how easy it is to wash a vehicle when a vehicle is protected that way. It's unbelievable. You're saving so much time. You're spending less time washing, more time driving. Is kind of
yeah,
what I like to tell people. Um, with the simple fact, like when you wash your vehicle, and you drying it with a blower, whether it's a leaf blower, I mean, go crazy, but leaf blower, air compressor, all these ways are good and safe ways to dry your vehicle, especially if it has some type of protection on it, whether it's a coating, a wax, whatever. It really mitigates uh, adding any type of marring, micro marring to your paint surface from the drying towel.
yeah.
Generally, drying towels are designed to not do that.
Mhm.
The higher GSM towels, 1200, 1500 GSM towels, they'll hold more water, which is great. But at the same time, you're dragging this heavy cloth across your paint full of water, and eventually it's going to stop soaking up that water. Whereas, when you do a blower on it and you manage to get everything out of the emblems, out of the I keep looking at the car because I'm just picturing myself blowing it, and it's you got everything out of the mirror, everything out of the emblems, the lights.
Especially the GTs.
Oh yeah, the Mustang. So we got a Mustang here, and we're just looking at it. The tail ends, if you have a Mustang, you can
Yep.
blow dry the crap out of these things and
It's
drive.
almost as bad as, like, the GMC front ends that just leak for days. It doesn't matter how long you sit there and blow it. Like, I have a newer GMC, and it's like, I blow with compressed air. I have an 80-gallon tank. I'm using 190
I don't
gallons
get
of air.
for this episode because we keep saying blowing.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That'll be in our therapeutic series that we spoke about before. We can
Really?
talk about all the blowing we want, but yeah, I go through like 190 probably gallons of compressed air blowing this damn truck, and the moment I pull it outside, drive it home right around the headlights, if you know, you know,
Yeah.
right around those headlights, all up the fender, just
Yeah.
just water, right? So it's gonna happen no matter how hard you try to mitigate it. But once again, you have that sacrificial layer there that's gonna help it. And going to the PPF protection aspect of it, you don't have to worry so much about drying it touchless, with a blower.
Yeah.
PPF is stout. You can hit that with, a drying towel,
Sure.
and you have the ability to kind of play with it a little bit more. If you have that, dried up caustic soap on there, is it gonna really etch into it as bad? Probably not. You can pull out a rag, bird droppings, you can spray a little quick detailer on it.
And a good PPF will self-heal itself, right? Yeah, put out in the sun on a hot summer day, you pour some hot water on it, it'll self-heal.
It gives you so much more leniency to keep and care for it in the moment. You're at a car show, a bird shits on the hood, a little bit of spray detailer, you can get on there. You not scrub it, but you can get pretty aggressive with it. And like you said, really good quality films are going to self heal, so you don't have to worry so much about uh, putting a defect into it if you do, but the defect's staying there because the film is going to take the brunt of it as well. You get the stone chip protection, the bug guts, which is huge. The PPF is awesome for that. Ceramic coating is good too, but black car driving down through Jordan Station on the highway, like it's like a bug holocaust on the front of your vehicle when you drive through that like 2 kilometer section of highway.
I should see them like flying around the trees. If you look up on a sunny day,
Oh, you can hear it.
all the what I don't know what the hell.
Yeah, it's like driving through Baghdad. You can hear it. You're like, "Oh my god, am I under attack?" You're just getting pelted by these gnats. And PPF is gonna do a better job of, when you have to scrub it or you have to use a more aggressive cleaner to kind of remove it. Bug and tar remover isn't doing it. It's been on there for a week. Ceramic coating, you kinda have to do a little bit of a dance with it, right?
Yeah.
So that's why the value of PPF is the value that it is. But once again, you run the risk of manufacturing issue with the film, a clarity issue with the film. Not to say it can't be done to have a perfectly flawless install of PPF. It is 100% it. I know at our shop we do quite a bit of PPF, and I know that we're probably 90%, I would say. I think 80% is a good quality standard for people coming back. So
Yeah.
the installer is going to try their best to do it, but like I said, there is things that are going to come up and going to happen. You have to sacrifice a little bit of that to have that ability to be a little more aggressive with it when you wash it and really get after things. So it really comes down to a budget thing, comes down to an expectation thing, which leads us to our 5 pillar episode, and a professional detailer. These are all things that this is a conversation they should be having with the client when planning how to protect this work that you just did to.
Yeah. Because I mean, one small fail swoop of a wash mitt or a drying towel, it's ruined.
Right.
And it,
Drop it on the ground.
and at the same time too, like you look at somebody who's going to go and get their car corrected and that, and they don't want to protect it. They don't want to put anything on it. And, the next day they run through a brushed car wash and here we go. Right. It's all that work has been ruined. Right.
Yeah, and then they say, "I thought you said it was bulletproof."
Yeah. So I know one thing, like one analogy I love is when you get a brand new phone, what's the first thing you do to it? You put a screen protector on it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Want to protect the screen from scratches and put in your pocket, keys and change and whatever.
100%.
It's the exact same kind of thing when you're applying that layer of protection to protect that paint and to keep that paint looking as good as it can.
Yeah.
For longer.
Yeah. Yeah. And if the screen, on that new phone is perfect, why risk not putting something over top of it, right?
And doesn't it feel like horrible if you didn't put a screen protector on and then like a weekend you see like a little fucking slice or something like that on?
I've never had that problem. So to be honest with the people listening, I've never put a screen protector on my phone.
I'd love to see that screen right now.
You can see it, man. Like I keep it like I'm very anal.
It's like hot. We'll put a single like floodlight on it and see.
Oh yeah, it's probably meshed right up. Yeah, but I'm pretty crazy about it, so I don't really put it anywhere with it. But it is what it is. But I think the bottom line takeaways, from just having your vehicle heavily corrected or enhanced is you have a damn near perfect finish on it, right? You have an immense wow factor today. So the idea now is let's protect the wow factor so you get the longevity out of it, all while making your life easier cleaning it, whether that's PPF or whether that's ceramic coating. A lot of people think PPF is just used and it's sold. It's really popular out west in Alberta. They use a lot of sand and stuff like that on the road. So I think that market they do a lot more PPF than they do ceramic coatings. Here in Ontario, it's a lot of cities, the Greater Toronto area and stuff. So we use a lot of salt. So it's not so much road impact and brine. Yeah. So it's more of a caustic kind of protection thing. But a lot of time PPF is sold as something that is meant to stop rock chips. It's meant to deter things like that. And I think it's important for people to kind of, get their head around the idea that it can also be beneficial for other things too, depending on what you want to do. And I always say when people come into my shop, I always say the best package you can do, it's going to cost a little bit of money. You put a full front PPF protection film on the front of it and you ceramic coat everything thereafter.
Yeah.
It's the best of both worlds. It's the most
And you can even
effective.
coat the film. There's brands out there that will have this specific coating for film as well. So if you are getting PPF installed somewhere, see if they'll install the coating on it as well. It's a dedicated coating for film because the film is, again, a little bit more porous as well than clear coat. So it needs to have a specific type of product applied to it.
Yeah. Yeah, the bottom line is from a consumer idea and from a business owner, I guess, but more so a consumer's point of view. You just spent, if you went to a reputable place, you just spent good money to get this vehicle sorted out and looking the way you want it to look. Um, so now we have to protect it for the long run, right? So now we have to keep it looking that way for as long as we possibly can. And really the biggest takeaway with anything is putting a sacrificial layer on top of that freshly corrected paintwork to let that take the brunt of everything that has to be thrown at it. And whether it's bugs, whether it's washing, just daily stuff, contaminants, tree saps, bugs, anything like that, you have to put something onto it to maintain the aesthetic that you're going for. And with a ceramic coating, you have to maintain that sacrificial layer as well.
Bottom line is don't go bareback. Almost a car wash. Right?
Never go back. Well, I mean, I don't know. So some people like living on the edge, and I get it. Like you could go bareback through a car wash, have a great time. Might be the best car wash you ever had, and you'll come out with you might come out with like 0 defects whatsoever. You might never even hear from her again. But at the end of the day, it's the dice you roll when you go through these things.
So I mean, again, I guess what we're trying to say in a roundabout way is never. I mean, always request or always make sure that there's some type of protective layer, whether it's anything from wax all the way up to paint protection film, to protect that exposed paint, that near flawless paint if you got to that point, right?
Yeah, and people out there that like the DIY guys, that have went and picked up their torque polisher that vibrates your hands completely numb, so you'll have
Itchy as hell after about 5 minutes. It's not gonna.
you clap your hands and your leg goes numb. And you're gonna have what's that disease called the construction workers get all the time from like vibrating tools and stuff like that.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. You talk about some detailers talk about it too. Those guys will go on there and talk about a cheap polisher vibrates your hand. It ruins the nerves in your hands. Anyways, these guys go out, they'll buy that, right? They'll buy the whatever black on black polish or whatever they have out there. And, guys who have done that, like, look at your car after you've corrected it. Did the shine last as long as you thought it would? Or is it something you find yourself doing every year, every 6 months, every 3 months? Which is terrible, by the way, and you shouldn't be doing it. But, look at your own thing and apply it to your own life. People that just bought a new car from a dealer, does it look the way it did when you got it from the dealership 3 months down the road? Does it still have the same gloss and depth and luster that it had then? Or is it kind of, fading out a little bit? You're noticing a few things, especially on those window, the door moldings where your window goes, the black plastic, everyone loves that. right? Look at that. Is that
trim around the top?
Oh yeah, the piano.
The water spot.
You know those new Chevy, the new Chevys love the black piano trim on everything. The trucks,
Yeah.
the SUVs, everything black piano trim. Looks great. Like it looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
It's
it looks
classy.
new, yeah. But they scratch so easily because it's not paint, it's plastic.
Yeah,
So it scratches so much easier.
and when you look at the anatomy of a scratch, right? The other problem too, and I think we should do an episode just on substrates and how it affects ceramic coatings, because that's a really nerdy episode. But plastic, the substrate of plastic is obviously not as strong as, a metal substrate. So although it's, whatever painted plastic or whatever it is, the plastic is going to indent just from the nature of the substrate, just because it's plastic. So at that point, you almost can't even correct that out, because that scratch is going to be so much more deeper than it is on a metal substrate or whatever, right? So, yeah, people with those piano trimmed vehicles, you have to, really be mindful of what you're getting yourself into with that.
Yeah.
And, I would be hard pressed to even recommend a ceramic coating on something like that. I think PPF would really be your only option to keep it flawless.
I agree.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it's a tough thing to navigate as a whole. But the most important thing, is let's get the biggest longevity we can out of it and try to differentiate your different levels of protection.
That and working within your budget as well. But bottom line is don't leave it. The protection is a necessity on that.
Yeah, and that's with anything. And we touched on waxes. It is a form of protection. You run the risk of uh imposing defect on the paintwork with a wax if it's not applied with a super clean applicator, if it's not a super clean surface that you're working with. So there is a risk to putting a wax on there, and you have to do a wax more often. So that wax is going to wear off, that protection is going to wear off, and now you run the risk again applying another wax, a month, 3 months. 3 months is probably pushing it, especially in the summertime, especially in the wintertime. But, every time you do that, you're going to run the risk of putting a defect back into that paint. So waxes are great. They give that, like we spoke about in the previous episode, it gives you that warm, beautiful,
Yeah, it's not as vibrant or vivid as like a coating, but yeah.
But like you said, you're running the risk now, and especially with corrected paint, it has a proclivity to be more susceptible.
That's a good word.
You like that?
Proclivity?
I've been reading the dictionary. I was waiting for the moment to drop the proclivity.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll put that in.
Yeah, I thought you would like that one, but
I wonder if closed captions will actually read that one.
it should, if as long as it doesn't put coding as coding, CODING.
Yeah,
I have that a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And you do the Instagram stories, you post it up there. It's like I just put the coding on it, and it's like oh god, like computer coding, but. Yeah, you just, so the biggest takeaways, what do you think the biggest takeaways are? Like what, if you had to leave, I know we covered a lot of topics, not as much as the previous episode. I think that one.
I think this was just a kind of a quick one to insert and just ensure that, people understand that after you've done all that work, or after you've had all that work completed on your vehicle, there has to be something that's put onto it. Otherwise it's, it's all for garbage. Right?
Yeah, it's all for nothing. And you only have X amount of times you can do that.
Yeah, exactly. People think you can polish a car every single year because you get a little bit of scratch here, a little bit of scratch there. It's unfortunately not the case, especially with today's paint. So,
and to go on an offshoot, we do a lot of boats. I hate doing boats. Gel coat is a completely different beast, because the moment you cut that gel coat, due to its porosity, it's going to start oxidizing the moment you finish correcting it. So with a boat, wax, sealant, anything, even a wax, like not only is it an absolute must, some sort of protection after the fact, because boats are so labor involved, because you have to sand a lot of the time, right? Not only is it necessary to put the wax on it, you need layers of wax on a gel coat boat. That wax is going to soak into those pores.
It's not just a regular car. I mean, you could put car wax, but it's not going to behave the same way as you apply it to a clear coat. So I think maybe if you're a boat kind of fanatic, polytetrafluorine.
Okay.
PTEF, right? I mean, you go to Canadian Tire, go whatever store, and
Polytetra. Put that in the Walmart search bar or on Amazon. Polypetrafluorine.
PTEF is really all you need to know. So if you just want to do a quick touch up on the hull or whatever it is, you get something. This is obviously beyond automotive, but you want to get something with PTEF in it, at the very least, and it'll adhere. It'll fill in the pores of the gel coat a lot better.
And I know just based on my experience, because we do so many boats, even when we ceramic coat them, you can't just do a layer ceramic coating. There has not been a boat that I haven't done anything less than 4 coats of ceramic coating on.
Jeez.
And that's
That's
real.
a lot of material.
That's a real life. During lakes, it's hard water, it's sun, it's everything.
And especially if they keep the boat in the water all year round.
Oh God, yeah.
It's definitely a necessity.
Yeah. So guys are pulling them in and outs a little bit better, but those, our average boat length, I think when I ran the numbers, is about 38 feet. So we do quite big ones. So they'll have a skim coat at the bottom, which helps out quite a bit. But and that's real life stuff. So if you're thinking about getting into the boat game, you have to remember the gel coat porosity is so big that anything you put onto it's going to soak into it. And especially if you wet sanded, you heavy compounded all that oxidization out, it's not just one and done like it is in an automotive sense. You need layers upon layers upon layers if you're going to offer any sort of warranty or you're going to expect any sort of longevity out of it. And that's fresh water to salt water to the environments are so different. Dock rash, the bumpers scrubbing on it.
Yeah.
There's so many things on a boat. So
Maybe we'll do a boat podcast.
I think we should. I think a boat podcast would be really awesome because I detest boats, but we're so it's so rewarding to do a boat.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I love boats, guys, and you know who you are. We love your boats, but
So again, I guess just to round this out, it's kind of for most of us that are car people, it's like second nature to apply some type of protectant wax, whatever the hell it is, onto a vehicle. But again, this is for maybe those of you that don't know that they just, you just polish a car and send it on its way. Ensure that whoever's doing it is applying something onto it.
Especially those places that are, polishing it and applying something and putting it out the door. So just and especially with modern day car paint, we touched on it in the ceramic coating episode, Truth About Ceramic Coatings, episode 2, was it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. Modern day automotive paint is not the same, and you need it now more than you would ever need it in the past.
For sure.
You only have so much to work with, and if you're going to spend the money to get it looking the best way possible, you have to protect it in order to protect the longevity. So biggest takeaway, if you're going to let somebody cut on your shit, protect it.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is. That's it in layman's terms.
Everything's beautiful.
That's it, baby.
All right, man. Well, thank you again for coming down to the studio again this week.
Thank you. Yeah, now you owe me 2.
I know I owe you 2.
You owe me 2 in a row now. It's a bit of a drive. It's like a 40-minute drive, so
we'll do it.
And I apologize. Maybe next time I'll bring you a proper gar instead. I just had to enjoy the Coors Bank this whole while. So
spilled on my table
that I just spilt.
All right, folks. Thank you again. Once again, you can find us on Spotify and YouTube. We're trying to do this every Wednesday, 7 p.m. We'll post up an episode at the Detail Depth Podcast on Instagram. You can find us on there. You can find us again on YouTube and Spotify. So any last words?
No, anybody who's on there and who wants to, reach out and see if they want to be on the show, give us a shout.
Yeah,
like I said,
I think we're always looking, right? We want to try to.
Yeah.
Again, I think maybe some of the episodes are just like the last one was jam packed with just.
Yeah. I think we should
occasional stuff, but I mean, it's off the cuff stuff.
Maybe like a weekend special where we get a guy in here and just talk about maybe not so much detailing, but just car industry stuff, maybe even a little business industry stuff, maybe even
Paris Jackson and watching an Enzo go for like 38 million or something like that.
And it was yellow too, I think, wasn't
I
it?
think it was yellow, yeah.
Crazy. The red ones are worth money.
Just
But yeah,
just
no.
wild stuff, but yeah.
Other than that, give us a follow, subscribe, hit the bell, whatever they say on YouTube stuff. And on Spotify, we appreciate you guys listening, and we're gonna try to condense these episodes, keep them roughly around the same size so that you can chew on it on your drive into work. But
Cool.
other than that, I'm
I'm
Quinn, Driven Autoworks, Tommy, HD Look.
Thank you, guys.
Till
See you on
next
the
week.
next one.
All right.